Is anyone else taken aback at the absolute cheek of some of these overseas Kiwis complaining that they may have to pay for their own quarantining if they come home? And you should see the outrage on social media. One guy's warning that he will never forgive a government that does this because he decided to stay overseas to avoid bringing COVID back into the country, but he'd like to come back at the end of the year. Another one says he feels abandoned by New Zealand. Now, are these people listening to themselves? These are some of the most privileged Kiwis who can afford to go on holiday, who can afford to go on an OE, who can afford to stay a bit longer overseas when their plans are disrupted, who can afford to live and work in London. When they demand that we back here continue to pay for their 2-week hotel stay, do they realise that amongst us paying for that are Kiwis who are on minimum wage or might be about to lose their jobs? The lack of self-awareness is astounding. If this thing carries on for years, and look, that is a possibility, at some stage we will not just be paying for those Kiwis who've been out of the country the whole time. We will start paying for potentially big numbers of people here who decide to go on holiday, regardless of quarantine. Already I'm aware of people who've headed overseas on holiday in just the last few weeks, fully aware that they're going to be quarantined when they come back. Paying for them is actually not fair on the rest of us. And actually it's ridiculous that it's not already happening. Queensland's been charging for quarantine since the start of the month. We've been talking about it but really not doing anything for about 4 weeks now. It's not until National yesterday announced its firm policy of charging $3,000 per person from October the 3rd that suddenly we hear there's a government cabinet paper considering, coincidentally, exactly the same amount. The government's hiding behind the excuse that it is still trying to figure out how to do this without breaching the legal right to come back and how to deal with people who can't afford the stay. Now, neither of these problems are insurmountable, right? They just need to get on with it. The bill for quarantining is massive. It's budgeted to cost around $380 million by the end of the year, and the country cannot keep spending like that without restraint forever. And this is not to say that we don't want these Kiwis back. Of course we want them back. This is their home too. But the question is, who pays for them to come back? Them or us? Now, given that they are the ones still travelling 4 months after the borders closed, I'd say they need to pay.